Now this stem needs to be supported, and it's a pretty good ways from the stake. But see, I'm using longer ties, so I can pull this tie over here and pull this up and put the knot in it, and that will hold this plant up until it gets about a foot taller. And I always push the plant with my finger when I'm tying the first knot. I don't want to drag the material across the stem, which would scar it. And then I can tie this permanent knot, the hard knot, after that. And then when you have one like this, it's hanging out here pretty good ways, and it's a longer way from the post. Rather than waste material going around the post, what you can do is just put this in the last one that you tied. And this is a long piece of nylon. It could be a lot shorter than this. But see, I could bring this up with I dropped the camera down. I could bring this up a lot closer with a shorter piece of nylon and tie it up. You see how I'm missing so many flowers? I don't know where they're going. I know that if you have starlings, if you ever come out and you're missing hunks of leaves or whole stems, for some reason starlings like to line their nest with tomato leaves. I've seen it happen for years. Just an extra tip on how we tie these things up. Everything over here has been tied up. And I'm still working down this row to tie this up. The other day I was talking about how second stage of tying up tomatoes as they get higher up the stake. And Sheila, who's been a long time supporter of my channel, one of the first people to subscribe to my channel, she asked me what I did with it. Did I tie it up real tight or not? And that was a good question, and I should have filmed it. Well, this is the one she was talking about, and that's the way I tied it up after I finished the video. And since it had a curl to it, I tied it that way, and this will turn around for the sun. I might today tie it up like that to direct it upwards. Here's another one the same way. I tied it this way to the stake. I don't want it tight because I want it to grow out here. And see, that's the other one I've tied up that way. And see, this one's been tied up with a long tie, and now I need to tie this one up. Well, since I have these two long tails, I can bring that over there and just pull it up to there. And see, this one I think I just talked about, but you just tie it into the other tie. Now if I had another one to tie up, I could just tie it below where another one is tied. I could just put the nylon hose around that stem. Don't tie a hard knot, but leave a big gap in it so that stem can grow. And I could come all the way out here and tie one up to here off of this. Because see, it's firm. You don't have to go all the way to the stake every time. Up here you can go to the stake. And see, I need to tie this one up to direct it. And I'm just going to pull that around like that and tie it up here. See, all of them I just want to direct up the center of the stake. This is the reason I stake my tomatoes and tie them up. See, I can walk down that row. I can walk down that row. I can walk down that row, and the plants are not in my way and I'm not hitting them. You can tie one simply to a stake. You can tie one to another stem, as long as that stem is tied above and below it. See over here, I tied that one around the pole, then I put a loop in it, tied it to the pole. That gave me a longer tie because I stretched it and tied the knot hard at the pole. Then I went around that one, then around that one. I got enough almost there to pick up another one. So you could tie 3 stems with it. And see this big old tall stem tie up here? As this one gets bigger, I would just use this to support it. That's another one tied to a stem. And the stem is tied to the pole. And I have a hard knot on both sides, and remember to leave a lot of space. This one I tied to the pole and used the tail to tie that one up. This one here I had tied, and I put this one through that one and tied it, so I didn't have to waste material going around the stake. See, that one's been tied, plenty of room. I'm down here and tied this one to it, all on one tie.